Imagine this. We live in an age where your phone can recognize your face faster than your own child might recognize your voice, where satellites orbiting 22 miles above the Earth can pinpoint your location within a few feet, and yet many of us still feel utterly lost. A time when we can store the entire Library of Alexandria on a microchip, but struggle to remember what it feels like to sit in silence and actually listen to each other, or to ourselves. This is the paradox of our era: unprecedented connection paired with unprecedented disconnection. We've mapped the genome, but not our own values. We're peering into black holes billions of light years away while forgetting to look our neighbors in the eye. We harness the atom's power, yet we still war over imaginary lines drawn in the dirt. If intelligence is rising, why does wisdom feel like it's in decline? The very planet that gave us life, our Earth, this cosmic cradle of carbon, calcium, water, and wonder groans beneath our ambitions. Forests fall, oceans rise, the temperature climbs, and all the while, we move faster, but to where? You see, something is splitting, not just politically or economically or culturally, though. Yes, all of that too. The split is deeper, more fundamental. It's a rift in consciousness itself, a divergence between the world we've inherited and the world we must imagine if we hope to survive. The ancient Greeks called Earth Gaia, a living entity, and modern science, in its own language, is starting to agree. The Gaia Hypothesis suggests our planet is not merely a rock with life on it, but a vast, interconnected organism, a breathing, pulsing system of feedback loops, rhythms, and balances. You can think of it as Earth's own immune system, resilient, adaptive, but not infinite. Now imagine this organism is evolving, not metaphorically, not poetically, but actually the Earth is transitioning, shifting, not in some mythical sense, but in a thermodynamic one. It's undergoing entropy reallocation. Systems once stable are becoming unstable. Energy is redistributing. The climate is changing not randomly, but as a response, as if Earth itself is trying to shed a fever. And just like in biology, when an organism evolves, not all cells come along for the ride. So the question becomes, which part of the system are you? In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called decoherence. When a particle becomes entangled with its environment, its behavior collapses from possibility into a single outcome. In simpler terms, when something becomes too embedded in its old state, it loses the potential to evolve into a new one. This is what's happening to human consciousness. The split is not just technological, it's vibrational. Some minds are becoming entangled in fear, scarcity, division, the residue of an old Earth, while others are tuning to something subtler, higher curiosity, compassion, interdependence. Not everyone will make the shift, and that's not a threat, it's physics. Imagine the human species as a river branching into two streams. One bends toward inertia, same systems, same suffering, same stories retold in louder, more distracted tones. The other veers toward emergence, a path not yet fully seen, but deeply felt by those who listen closely. It's quieter, more spacious, a place where questions matter more than answers, and the heart finally catches up to the intellect. The split is getting bigger, but it didn't happen overnight. Centuries of disconnection from nature, from one another, from self have led us here. We mistook intelligence for wisdom, productivity for purpose, comfort for meaning. We worship data and dismiss doubt. We industrialized our minds the way we industrialized our soil stripping, both of their organic richness. And now, something ancient is calling us back. But make no mistake, this isn't regression, it's recalibration. What's emerging isn't mysticism, it's coherence, a return to the fundamental truth that the universe is not made of things, it's made of relationships. Gravity, electromagnetism, strong and weak nuclear force all of physics is about connection. Particles influence each other across vast distances. Stars are born from the collapse of prior stars. And you, sitting wherever you are right now, are quite literally made of atoms that once lived inside supernovae. You are not separate from this cosmos. You are not separate from this earth, and neither is your choice. So I ask again, not with judgment, but with clarity, will you ascend with the new earth or stay behind with the old? And yet, for all our progress, for all our data, our devices, our dazzling technologies, we have barely scratched the surface of the most important frontier, ourselves. Humanity, in its modern expression, is like a spacecraft that's mastered propulsion but hasn't figured out where it wants to go. We accelerate without direction, innovate without introspection. We've got the engine of gods, but the steering wheel of children, and that's dangerous, because now, for the first time in known history, we are wielding powers once attributed only to myth. We can alter the genome, simulate intelligence, warm the climate, rewrite ecosystems. We have become, in essence, co-creators with nature, and yet we behave as if we're spectators, or worse, as if we're exempt. But the cosmos does not grant exemptions. The laws of physics are impartial. The biosphere is indifferent. Entropy doesn't care if your intentions were good. And when the balance is upset, when the data stream flows faster than the moral stream, we begin to lose coherence, and that loss becomes a tear in the very fabric of society. So where does that leave us? Right here, in this moment, on a small blue world orbiting an average star, in a galaxy that's drifting slowly through an expanding universe. And yet within that humbling cosmic context, we are making choices every day that ripple out in all directions. Choices about what we value, what we believe, what we fight for, or what we ignore. This is why the split matters. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's not about political camps or spiritual tribes. It's not even about being woke or asleep. It's about alignment. Are your actions aligned with life or decay? Are your beliefs aligned with interconnection or isolation? Are your values rooted in permanence or adaptation? Because here's the deeper truth. Evolution isn't just a biological process. It's a conscious one. And right now, consciousness itself is undergoing a mutation. Not everyone feels it, but maybe you do. Maybe you've begun to question the noise. Maybe you've started to crave stillness. Maybe the headlines feel like static, and you find yourself longing for some deeper, clearer frequency that speaks not to your fears, but to your potential. That is the signal of the new earth. And like all signals, it can only be received by those who tune in. And so the question becomes more than rhetorical. How do you know if you're shifting? How do you sense that you're no longer just living on earth, but evolving with it? You might think the signs would be Gransom trumpet blast revelation, a sudden burst of cosmic clarity. But no, the first signs are small, subtle, almost shy. They begin as restlessness. You're scrolling your feed, surrounded by dopamine distractions, and yet you feel empty. Not depressed, not broken, just hollow. As if the things that used to spark joy now feel like static. And the loudest voice in the room suddenly seems like it has the least to say. This isn't apathy, it's awareness. You're beginning to see through the surface of things, to question what you used to accept. Advertisements feel manipulative. The news feels performative. The metrics of success, likes, dollars, titles, begin to blur into something absurd. And a quiet question keeps whispering at the edge of your awareness. What is this all for? That's the first sign, a shift in perception. Then comes the second, a shift in sensation. Time starts behaving differently, not in a mystical way, but in a psychological one. Hours stretch, days blur. The pace of the world feels dissonant either, too fast to be meaningful or too slow to be relevant. You begin craving simplicity, silence, walks without earbuds, meals without screens. You start to feel life again in the wind, in music, in a friend's eyes. You begin noticing that joy has nothing to do with consumption, and everything to do with connection. That's the second sign, a shift in values. And then the third, a shift in identity. You start to unhook from the labels, from the old stories you were told to believe about yourself. I'm not good enough. I must always be productive. Success is everything. These narratives lose their gravity, like old satellites falling out of orbit. You begin asking deeper questions. Who am I beneath the roles? What am I without the algorithm's approval? And most haunting of all, what kind of world am I helping to build just by being who I am every day? This is not an escape, it's an emergence. You're not running from reality, you're tuning into a deeper layer of it, one that doesn't scream, doesn't sell, doesn't beg for your attention, but instead waits patiently, like the stars, to be remembered. The split doesn't look like a crack in the ground, it doesn't arrive with fire from the sky or a blinking red alert, no. It arrives with contrast. Look closely, and you'll see it everywhere. On one side, you'll find a world still entranced by the theater of control. It shouts louder every day, compete, consume, conquer. Its currency is attention, and its commodity is outrage. It runs on division, us versus them, now versus never, success versus failure. This is the old Earth. Its institutions are built on inertia. Its economy feeds on extraction of resources, yes, but also of time, of identity, of meaning. It tells you to climb ladders, chase titles, hoard wealth. It whispers that fulfillment is always just one purchase away. But like a mirage, that fulfillment recedes the closer you get. It is not evil. It is exhausted. Then on the other side, you'll find something else, quieter, gentler, sometimes harder to spot. It's in communities that prioritize cooperation over competition. It's in people who define wealth not by what they own, but by how much peace they carry. It's in conversations where listening is an act of love, not just a pause between replies. It's in food grown with intention, not haste. In art made with soul, not for algorithms. This is the new Earth. It doesn't reject technology, it reclaims it. It asks not just, can we do this, but should we, and who benefits if we do? It doesn't idolize convenience, it honors balance. It doesn't demand perfection, it invites participation. Here, being awake doesn't mean being right. It means being real. And in this new landscape, you begin to realize the split isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. Every time you choose integrity over impulse, you step onto the new path. Every time you pause to listen, really listen, you step onto the new path. Every time you heal an old wound, instead of projecting it, you step onto the new path. And yes, every time you fall back into fear or reaction, you glimpse the cost of staying behind. But the beauty is this, you are never stuck because Earth, in her wisdom, is not punishing. She is patient. Evolution doesn't hurry, but it does not wait forever. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the noise, the chaos, the endless scroll of fear and distraction, remember, the split is not about separation, it's about selection. Not who gets chosen, but what you choose. See, the new Earth isn't waiting for you on a mountaintop. It's not behind some paywall of enlightenment or locked inside ancient scriptures. It's here. Now, unfolding in real time through your choices, your presence, your attention. But here's the catch. You don't get to talk your way into it. You must live your way into it. Because this isn't about believing in some better future. It's about behaving in alignment with it today, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. Do you honor your word when it's inconvenient? Do you give when there's no applause? Do you slow down enough to notice the sacred in the ordinary? The new Earth begins with embodiment. It's not in grand gestures. It's in the micro movements of daily life, choosing a meal that honors the planet, not just your appetite, speaking truth gently, not just loudly, noticing the humanity in the person bagging your groceries, not just their role, saying, I don't know, with humility, instead of faking certainty for status. This is not softness. This is sovereignty. Because when you align with higher principles, interconnectedness, compassion, curiosity, you become less reactive, less programmable. You no longer vibrate at the frequency of fear, and thus no longer feed the matrix that thrives on it. You don't need to overthrow the system, you outgrow it. This is the most radical form of rebellion, to stay kind in a world that teaches aggression, to stay present in a world addicted to escape, to build new systems not from vengeance, but from vision. The new earth won't be built by those who shout the loudest. It will be built by those who listen the deepest. And if you're still listening now, then maybe, just maybe, that builder is you. Zoom out for a moment. From the edge of the stratosphere, humanity is just a shimmer, a thin blue film wrapped around a rock. From the moon, we're a marble. From Mars, a star. And from the outer solar system, nothing visible at all. Yet here, on this flickering speck of dust, suspended in a sunbeam, a drama unfolds, a species awakening to its power and to its peril. Because here's the cosmic truth. The universe is not indifferent to your choices. Not in a moral sense, but in a structural one. Every action is a frequency. Every thought, a wave. And when enough waves cohere, they shape matter. Reality bends to resonance. So the new earth is not a fantasy. It's a frequency. It's not a destination. It's a decision. It begins when enough people are not perfect, but present start living as if love were the baseline, not the bonus. When enough minds break free from the fear economy and start investing in the future of life and not just their own, but life itself, it doesn't require everyone. Just enough. Enough to tip the scale. Enough to hold the vision when others forget. Enough to keep building the bridge even when no one sees the other side. And so I leave you with this. You are not small. You are not late. You are not waiting for permission. You are a node in a vast, intelligent web of existence, a signal, not a spectator, a pulse of consciousness born into matter, here to shape it. And though the split is getting bigger, the choice has never been clearer. Will you stay in the orbit of the old defined by fear, control, and entropy? Or will you rise as steadily, humbly, quietly into a future where the laws of nature are not exploited, but embodied? Where love is not a luxury, but a law of physics? The split is not punishment, it's invitation. And the new earth isn't out there somewhere. It's waiting in you. So, which signal will you broadcast? Which world will you belong to? And what might the earth become if enough of us said yes to something higher? Thank you.